Good evening and welcome to the Garner Town Council regular meeting on August 5th, 2025. I'm always glad to say it's a beautiful day in Garner and even more so tonight. Just as I promised you a week ago, it cooled off. Might be a little damp, but it cooled off. So let's start out by calling a roll. I'll call on our town clerk, Ms. Stella Gibson, to please call the roll.
Mayor Gupton.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Vance.
Here.
Councilmember Singleton.
Here.
Councilmember Behringer.
Here.
Councilmember Matthews.
Here.
And Councilmember Dellinger.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we'll call on Councilmember Dellinger for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation this evening.
Please rise if you're able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In lieu of an invocation, I just wanted to read something I had read maybe before, but it's just the Moravian Church principle, which is in essentials, unity, in non-essentials, liberty, and in all things, love. That's it.
Thank you. Short and sweet and to the point. Thank you very much. This is the point in the meeting where we hear petitions and comments, and I'll ask our town attorney if anyone has signed up to speak on this tonight.
No one has signed up to speak on petitions and comments this evening.
Okay. Well, we will move right along to item F on our agenda, the adoption of the agenda, and I'm going to recognize our town attorney to present the revised agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The attorney representing the Homestead of Bryan Farms has requested that tonight's agenda be revised so that a decision on the special use permit text amendment, ZTA 25001, which is on the new and old business portion of the agenda, can be reordered and made prior to the public hearings for the annexation and special use permit for the Homestead of Bryan Farms. And the reason for this request, and Mr. Frederick is available in the audience, should council want to hear from him more, is that if the text amendment were to be approved by town council, the Homestead project would not be required to have a special use permit, and a public hearing would not be necessary. And that is due to the fact that they would have the option of permit choice, so they could opt into the new ordinance, should it be adopted, that would not require that this project have a special use permit.
Okay. And do we need a motion from council to approve the revised agenda?
So, and just, yes, but just to clarify, so the revised agenda for the members of the public would move the new and old business portion of the agenda, which is 2 items, to before the public hearings portion of the agendas. And then we're also requesting a change to reorder the public hearings so that the quasi-judicial, if it should be necessary, the quasi-judicial hearing for the special use permit for the Homestead of Bryan Farms be heard before the annexation petition, which does not require a quasi-judicial hearing but requires a legislative hearing.
Thank you. So to put that in simple terms, we'll be covering these same items, but in a slightly different order.
Right. And potentially one item might come off the agenda. That would be the special use permit
Yes.
But only if the zoning text amendment is adopted prior to that.
Yes, and as you and I and the town manager and others talked earlier today, this seems to make our meeting more efficient and more effective if we can change that order slightly and maybe eliminate one part of it.
I believe Mr. Dellinger would like to.
It's a point of clarification. It would, by doing the reorder, it's sort of a presumption that the amendment we're going to debate would pass unaltered. It's possible that that amendment could be altered in such a way as that it would actually still require a special use permit. Is that correct?
That is possible, and then the applicant for the homestead of Bryan Farms, their attorney, can decide how they want to proceed, whether they would want to ask for a continuance or whether they want to proceed tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, so is there a motion from council to approve the revised agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Okay, moved by Mr. Matthews, second by Mr. Vance. And if there may be some, just in case there's some difference of opinion, let's do this as a roll call vote. Mr. Matthews, you made the motion. If you're in favor of that, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, just a point of order. There's opportunity for debate after the motion and the second.
The motion was made, and if there's more input or more discussion, we'll be glad to entertain that. And I assume you have some discussion or observations.
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, I am opposed to rearranging the agenda. The biggest reason I think it's very important for the public to have the opportunity, particularly for a noticed meeting, to have input on a project. I think it's presumptive to move the SUP change ahead with the assumption that maybe they might not have it because we don't know what that debate is going to have, what the result of that debate will be. I think there's a lot of strength in our special use permitting process. We've had several in the past few months where that process has given us, the council, the opportunity to serve the citizens in a different way by mitigating some of the negative impacts of projects that are not available to us during the legislative part of the process. I think it is a good and healthy exercise for the council to engage in the special use permit for this project first. I think it would actually be quite informative for our discussion of the modification to the special use permit later in the evening. That's my objection to the motion. I think it's transparency for me personally. It's a transparency and access to the public issue that we maintain our current order of business for tonight.
Okay, is there any other observation or comments related to the motion about revising the agenda? Okay, hearing none, we'll take a vote on the revised agenda. And then later there'll be other items we'll be voting on as well. So I prematurely called on Mr. Matthews since he made the motion, but let's start over with the roll call vote. All in favor of adopting the revised agenda, when I call on you, please signify by saying aye or nay if opposed. Mr. Matthews?
Aye.
Mr. Singleton?
Nay.
Ms. Behringer?
Aye.
Mr. Dellinger?
No.
Mr. Vance?
Aye.
Sounds like a 3-2 vote in favor of revising the agenda. That motion passes. So we will move ahead with the revised agenda. And if we hit a confusing point in here, I will call a brief recess to confer with our parliamentarian and our attorney to make sure we're moving ahead correctly and appropriately in every way. And I see we have no presentation scheduled for item G. That being said, we will move to our consent agenda, item number H on here. And these are a number of more routine items that have been reviewed intensely by staff and council, actually 14 of them this evening. Most of which have been acted on or reviewed before, and we have the opportunity to approve the consent agenda, all 14 items at one time, unless council members feel that there's a particular item or items that need to be removed from the consent agenda for further discussion. Has anyone identified an item that needs to be removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, then, I will accept a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Vance makes the motion, Ms. Behringer seconds. All in favor of adopting the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by nay? Hearing none, that motion is adopted. We approve the consent agenda. And moving right along to new and old business at this point. And here's some good news to start with. Item I, number 1, it has to do with board and committee reappointment recommendations. This is done by our Human Resources Committee, composed of Mr. Vance and Mr. Dellinger, filling up things like the Board of Adjustment, Parks and Rec Advisory Board, et cetera. And I will call on Mr. Vance to give us the condensed version of the recommendations from the Human Resource Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just like to bring individuals who are seeking reappointment to their current boards and commissions for the council approval. Those individuals are Robert Brewer and Richard Squires for the Board of Adjustment, Mark Wood to Parks and Rec Advisory Board. Each will serve a 3-year term expiring June 30th, 2028. Appointment of Jihad Jones to the Planning Commission for a 2-year term expiring June 30th, 2027. This is a recommendation from the HR Committee.
Thank you. Any discussion, observations?
I'll second that as a motion.
Okay, excellent. Any further discussion? All right, that being the case, then we'll take a voice vote on approving the board and committee reappointment recommendations as described. Let's go with a voice vote on this one. All in favor of adopting the recommendations of the Human Resources Committee, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by nay? Hearing none, passes unanimously. All right, thank you. Thanks for the good work there, Mr. Dellinger and Mr. Vance. A lot of committees, a lot of boards, a lot of great applicants. We had the orientation last week, I think it was, and I learned something every time I go to those. So thanks for the good work. Thanks for the people who have stepped up to be on these boards and committees. Okay, we'll now proceed to public hearings. And it looks like the first one we have here under item J, number 1. Oh, excuse me, let me back up here. I was so excited about the HR committee, I may have jumped ahead.
Mr. Mayor, it would be the zoning text amendment.
Thank you. That would be item number 2, the zoning text amendment for the possible modification of the residential special use permit, the threshold modification particularly. And I'll be calling on our planning director, Mr. Jeff Triesenberg, to give us a little background on this item which has been discussed and studied previously. Mr. Triesenberg.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and audience. Good to be here before you tonight. If you bear with me here. In the page number. 143. So yes, ZTA 2501 is a text amendment, a fairly short text amendment. That the council has been discussing with us for a while. We had the public hearing a couple of months ago, and it went to Planning Commission last month in July for their review and recommendation. The background portion of the staff report hasn't changed. There was the additional information that we had discussed again during the public hearing. Section 2 again talks about the 4 different options that we were looking at and discussing. The consensus direction from a majority was to pursue option C. And that was presented to the Planning Commission along with all of the rest of the options. And I'm just going to skip down here to the Planning Commission section. The Planning Commission did have a good amount of discussion on this case. Ultimately, at the end, they did approve a consistency statement of we, the Planning Commission, find that while ZTA 25001 does not directly respond to a specific need to align the UDO with the recommendations of the town's comprehensive plan, which focus on promoting compatible infill development and affordable housing incentives, This request to amend the UDO related to specific review processes is also not overtly inconsistent with the town's adopted land use plans. They moved to recommend approval of option C, and that motion was made by Commission Member Carson and seconded by Commission Member Banks, and that motion passed unanimously. As just a general reminder, reasonableness is not a standard that's required for text amendments, just the consistency portion. So that leaves out then two of our normal four options when it comes to things like map amendments. There's either a motion to find it consistent and approve, or to find inconsistent and deny. Both of those motions are drafted for you on page 150. And just to go back to option C, that does propose to amend section 4.74, special use permit, subsection A2, to say that any residential development site plan or major subdivision involving 200 dwelling units or more, except for those residential developments or major subdivisions located within a Tier 2 conditional zoning district. So this would remove those from the applicability of the special use permit requirement. And then also amending section 4.8.2, which is about design modifications. So if someone comes in after their original approval, these are the standards by which we review their modification to determine if it's major or minor. And this would amend subsection B1, B3 to reduce the increase or decrease in the total number of residential dwelling units. We would actually be amending that from a difference of 10% down to a difference of 5%. So therefore narrowing the amount of difference that would require a major design modification requiring the project to go back through the original form of approval. So those are the two subsections, again, that would be amended if this were to be approved. And it is coming back to you from Planning Commission with a unanimous recommendation to find consistent with their consistency statement and to approve. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you much, Mr. Triesenberg, and let's start with Mr. Vance down here and move this way. See any questions or comments for Mr. Triesenberg?
No questions at this time.
Mr. Dellinger,
I don't have any questions.
Ms. Behringer, Mr. Singleton.
No, sir.
No questions.
Okay, no questions there. So thanks for putting this together. Just to recap what you've already said, this is an idea that had been promulgated sometimes, discussed by council in work sessions and other venues. It came for a public hearing. It got moved to the Planning Commission for their review. They came back with unanimous approval recommending that this be done. Just in the shortest words, if I might fill in what this means to me, what it's about to me, it started out just to be a way to be more effective and more efficient. And what we were trying to exclude from the quasi-judicial court-like hearing of a special use permit is for certain residential projects that had gone through the Tier 2 zoning, which means presenting a very detailed master plan. And we've gotten used to seeing these. Most of the residential projects that your council sees are Tier 2. And they have a very detailed master plan that has been worked through with the developer and the staff. And it's also come to by this time, it would have come to the council to be referred to the Planning Commission, kind of like the Bryan Farms. Planning Commission returns it with a recommendation, and if that is to move ahead, then the council is here to move ahead. And it was the feeling of a number of us, including me, that if the council has spent time and the Planning Commission has spent time looking at a very detailed way at this particular project, right down to every greenway, every bike rack, every stormwater control measure, what the houses will look like, the special conditions that would apply, that we've got almost a photograph of what this is going to look like in front of us when it comes back at this point for the old business, new business kind of project. So we looked at it as something that could be more efficient. Also, it came to my attention and some of our attention that this SUP process is supposed to be a quasi-judicial process that only considers a very limited number of factors that can only be spoken toward by authorized authorities, engineers, scientists, people who are certified to talk about those. It's not about, do we want this project here, do we not want it there? It's more about the technicalities by the time it comes to the SUP. So in my opinion, it would be a step forward for all of us to save time and energy and money doing these things. Then the second case came up more recently where we were looking at one that has not had a public hearing yet, but most of the members of the council were able to look at this proposed project that includes lots of very desirable items that most of us would agree we want more of, starting with federally subsidized affordable housing. Possibly a civic organization would be given some property and a building there to operate a community center with various amenities. It had other features that we seem to be very desirable, but there's a very limited time frame that this is available. And my fear was that if we went through our usual exhaustive process, which we would do, and then on top of that, with the special use permit, it may eliminate the opportunity to get those federal grants and apply that money in a way that would be of great value to our community. So to me, it looks like a chance, and the council has looked at it, it's passed a couple of majority votes that would be more effective and more efficient, more expeditious, but not giving away the farm and allowing just anything to be built anywhere. We feel like it's a balance. So that's my 2 cents worth. That being said, I think we had a motion and a second on this. Any further, well, is there any other questions, Mr. Triesenberg, at this point before we ask for a motion? Is there a motion to adopt this change?
I move that the town council accept the planning commission's written statement regarding consistency of the zoning amendment request with the adopted land use plans, the detail in section 3 of the staff report as our own, and I further move the town council adopt ordinance number 2025-5351, approving rezoning ZTA 25001.
Thank you, Mr. Vance. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Behringer seconds that. Okay, now we can have some more discussion among the council members. We'll start with Mr. Matthews down here and move this way. Any observations, points you'd like to make related to the item before us here?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor, I'm fine.
Mr. Singleton?
Well, I like the text change. We discussed a lot. I think sometimes we circumvent the public getting to be able to see things and hear things that we may hear or see. That's the only drawback I see to what's proposed, is that the public involvement gets less and less. That's all.
Ms. Behringer? Mr. Dellinger?
Yeah, I'm going to vote against this despite all the enthusiasm for it. I think that the special use permit, since my tenure here on council, has been a very invaluable tool for the council and the town and the residents as a quasi-judicial tool and mechanism for approving process outside of the more subjective legislative process. I think the quasi-judicial process it's more objective, one, which is also very helpful in assessing projects. 2, it gives us the opportunity to mitigate negative impacts of projects in a way that we cannot do in any other way. I think that's really, really important when you're talking about projects of significant magnitude with impacts on traffic and schools, commercial, all kinds of elements that we need to consider on these big ticket projects. I think we've seen the benefit of it in many projects where even maybe 2 months ago, there was an industrial project that was going forward, and through the process of the special use permit even being in existence, they reached out to neighbors and got some more accommodations for the neighbors to add some additional screening. With the Amazon project, we saw a benefit from that. It generated over $600,000 in money when they ran over time that wouldn't have been there if we hadn't had that. Again, I think it provides just another backstop, and I sincerely think that removing the special use permit for these large projects and not having that backstop weakens our position on the legislative part of the process. The special use permit encourages the applicant to do certain things that if they don't want to do them during the legislative part, we know they're in the best interest of the residents and the community and the growth of the town. So you know we're going to make you do them. You remove that, and the incentive for cooperation is significantly lessened. And I think that has some carry-on effects that I don't think we can fully comprehend right now. I think we're just removing a tool from our toolbox. I think there are better ways and even more efficient ways. Even the project that the mayor had mentioned, that project would probably still be subject to a special use permit, but there are things we can do to align those timelines in a way that is most efficient for the applicant, maintains the public input and participation in the process, and also gives us that opportunity, if need be, to mitigate significant adverse impacts that we can't otherwise address. So those are my comments, and that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vance, comments?
No comments.
Okay. Well, that's everybody has spoken. We asked questions of staff. I think at this time we can accept a motion related to this item, to this text change on the SUP. Is that correct?
There was a motion and a second.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Mr. Vance made it. We can call the vote on that. And we'll take a roll call vote. And Mr. Vance, you made the motion. Let's go back to you. If you are in favor of this text change amendment, please signify by saying aye. If opposed, by nay, and we'll come down the line.
Aye.
Mr. Dellinger?
Nay.
Mr. Behringer?
Aye.
Mr. Singleton?
No.
Mr. Matthews?
Aye.
Sounds like 3-2, majority carries. The voting text amendment related to the SUP passes. And I'll say again, I think this does not relate to industrial. It does not relate to commercial. That's a whole different thing. It's only residential. It's the only ones that we've seen in detail. And I think it'll just put the pressure on us to make sure we make good decisions early and often through the process and communicate clearly with our developer partners and our landowners, our property owners, who also have a stake in this, as well as the neighbors and the staff. So thanks to everyone who's put in a lot of work and a lot of time on this. I'm glad to see it pass. I think we can still have adequate control if we'll just pay attention and do our homework and communicate with the other folks involved. So that being said, that's the end of that item there. And I believe at this point we're going to move ahead with the public hearings.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. So this is a little different. And we'll be starting out here. And we'll read the disclaimer that this public hearing is a legislative hearing which do not require sworn testimony. However, all persons interested in speaking must sign up with the town clerk. Town staff will present a brief presentation followed by the applicant, and other persons who wish to comment on the item will be recognized to speak. Council requests groups of individuals with the same position to designate a representative to speak for the group, and statements typically will be limited to 3 minutes. So that being said, we'll jump right into the first one, item 1 under J, public hearings, and that is the voluntary satellite annexation petition related to ANX 24-012 Creech Road Subdivision. Mr. Triesenberg, Planning Director, is again our presenter. What can you tell us about this project, Mr. Triesenberg?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council members, this is a project that has been in the works for 6 to 7 years here, probably more if we go back to the very first time we talked with the folks at Habitat about this particular piece of land. They've been making slow but steady progress on it, and they are now getting ready to be breaking ground. So this is an annexation request to bring that 44.9 acre site outlined here, right in the corner of Creech Road, just as you pass Gatewood Drive. I will point out that there is interconnection into Gatewood Drive, so I know that particular outlet onto Creech is a little dicey there in the corner, so this will provide some opportunities for folks to make a movement a little bit further away. Just for your general knowledge, we do have the Tryon Point Apartments right over here. And of course, Tryon Road, the Tryon Road extension, will be coming up eventually right to the northwest of the Habitat site, and there will be connection out onto that Tryon Road extension as well once it is built. So this application was brought to you by Marty Bizzle with BNK on behalf of Habitat for Humanity. It does include a little bit of right-of-way to connect these, what will be 3 satellites areas into one. We did run this through the 5 criteria for satellite annexations. As I've noted in the past, we do have an exemption from the overall acreage cap on satellite annexations. It is just 0.35, a little over a third of a mile from our primary corporate limits. It is still closer to Raleigh because it's only 0.03 miles from Raleigh, but we do have the annexation agreement with them. It is for the entire site for which the subdivision was approved, and this was approved back on November 13th of 2018, back when certain subdivisions were required to be approved by the Planning Commission, and they did approve that, I believe, unanimously at that time. So the annexation request is before you tonight, and once you conduct the public hearing and close it, we do have a draft ordinance for you should you decide to annex by adopting Ordinance 2025-5349.
Thank you, Mr. Triesenberg. And does the applicant wish to make a presentation? Yes, sir. If you would come up, identify yourself and address, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Marty Bizzle with Bass Nixon Kennedy Engineers, 6310 Chapel Hill Road in Raleigh. I was indeed here in 2018 when we came before you and received subdivision approval for what we call as Creech Road subdivision to be developed and currently being developed by Habitat of Wake County. And we're currently underway grading, installing water, sewer, and looking forward to having some lots for Habitat to build on very soon. So we'd appreciate your consideration and approval of this annexation.
Well, thank you. Well, while you're up, we'll see if council members have any questions for you or Mr. Triesenberg. Start back with Mr. Matthews.
Yes, sir. I remember the meeting, and I think it's going to be a good project. It'll meet a need, and which we're working on in Garner, trying to take care of things, and I think the location will be good. So good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Thank you.
Mr. Singleton.
No questions.
Thank you.
Manager.
Yes, just one. How many homes will be in the community?
97.
97. Well, I'm excited to see this coming on board. It's been a long time in the making, and it's good to see it finally happening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dellinger.
Yeah, it's really long time coming. I wasn't even here, but it's glad you're finally moving, and it'd be one of many things we hope to move forward with to address housing affordability in the county. It's a huge issue, and every little bit helps, and this is a big help. So thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you.
Mr. Vance, questions?
No questions.
Okay. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you.
And I'll ask our town attorney, has anyone signed up to speak on this agenda item?
Yes, Jamie Pennington. She's declining to, she had signed up, but she.
Oh, okay. Did anyone else sign up to speak?
No, that was it.
Okay, well, thank you. I'll just throw in my 2 cents worth. Me and Mr. Vance went to the ribbon cutting out there a month or 2 ago, and they were hard at it. And these are some dedicated people who are bound to succeed.
Yes, sir.
And this is just the first part of, I think it's safe to say, a much larger development right at the same place. Habitat already owns some property, and we'll be seeing that in more detail as it comes along. But this is one that's been in the works. How many years is that, since 2018? Geez, 7 years. It takes a while, but it's been very thoughtful. We appreciate what Habitat has done. Okay, well, that being said, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll ask the council members for a motion and a second to adopt this ordinance.
Mayor, move we adopt ordinance 2025-5349.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Singleton and seconded simultaneously by council members Behringer and Matthews. If there's no other discussion or comments on this one, then I will call for a voice vote on this one. Council members who are in favor of approval of this ordinance, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by nay? Hearing none, it passes unanimously. Thank you, and thanks for what you're doing out there in the neighborhood. Thanks to the neighbors who are part of this as well. It's a great day moving ahead. That being said, I think we will take a 10-minute recess here just to reconvene to make sure we got the right things in the right order moving forward. So if you would be back in here about 6:46, we'll take a quick break, consult on our agenda. Thank you. That beep tells us our technology is back in operation and we're beaming live across the world. So we return to our council meeting here tonight. And the next item here is number 2. It's a special use permit request related to the Homestead at Bryan Farm. And since what we just changed in our SUP recently, this being the case, we might call him Mr. Frederick to see if you want to step up and see if we need to go ahead with this request or what we need to do.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and members of council. I'm Mark Frederick with Parker Poe, Adams and Bernstein at 301 Fayetteville Street in Raleigh. I am here on behalf of the applicant. We have our full team here, but under the permit choice rules, we are going to elect to follow the recently adopted rules regarding special use permits and the threshold required for a special use permit, which means this case, this project, the major subdivision plan application would not need a special use permit to be approved. So we're going to elect to follow those rules.
Thank you. I just want to double check with our town attorney and parliamentarian that we don't need to have any other action on this particular item. We can just move on from this one.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Frederick. And that takes us to item number 3 there, which is a voluntary contiguous annexation petition related to the same project, the Homestead at Bryan Farm.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. Perhaps in keeping with our rules, we would entertain a motion to remove this item from the agenda.
Thank you. We want to go by the rules. Thank you. This is just a little bit different that we're switching things in midstream. Thank goodness we have a good parliamentarian here. Okay, so what we need is a motion to adjust the agenda to actually remove that item. Is that correct, Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Now, when you say the item, do you mean the special use permit or the annexation petition?
Yes, thank you for clarifying the special use permit request, SUP SB 24005. Just that item.
I didn't think we could,
Yeah,
I didn't think we could eliminate the annexation petition, but anyway, that's why I just want to make sure. Thank you.
We'd rather be clear than,
Yeah.
and make sure we're doing the right thing. Yeah. Yes, number 2 on our item has to do with the special use permit. And then if we remove that one, we will come back and talk about the annexation for the similar project. Just be skipping the SUP. So, is there a motion to remove that item from our agenda?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Matthews moved, Mr. Vance seconded. Okay. Any other discussion about removing this item?
A clarification question for the record, and that is that the applicant was not required to not pursue a special use permit. They have opted out voluntarily. Is that correct?
Yes, pursuant to the permit choice rules adopted by the General Assembly.
Thank you. That's my comment. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments related to removing that item from the agenda? Okay, hearing none, I'll accept a motion to remove that item from the agenda. And we had it in a second. Okay, so let's go down the roll call again, just to make it very, very clear. And let's start with Mr. Vance this time. If you're in favor of removing this item from the agenda tonight, please signify by saying aye or nay as opposed. If you're in favor, Mr. Vance, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. Dellinger,
Aye.
Ms. Behringer,
Aye.
Mr. Singleton,
Aye.
Mr. Matthews.
Aye.
Okay, clearly 5-0, unanimous. We will remove that item from the agenda tonight. Now, stay with me, Ms. Jones, make sure I'm going to the right page here. We're going to item number 3, which is voluntary contiguous annexation petition for the same project, which is Homestead Bryan Farm. And our presenter, amazingly, is our planning director, Jeff Triesenberg.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this is voluntary annexation petition ANX 2420. This is a contiguous annexation request, so it is immediately adjacent to our primary corporate limits out near southeast, or South Garner, southeast. Call it the southeast area, but South Garner High School. The request is to bring in 100.11 acres. The application was filed by Jesse Hardesty of McAdams. The zoning for this project was CZMP 2304, which was approved by the council back on October 22 of last year, 2024. Here you see the property. Several of the new subdivisions here, Ridgemore to the north, South Garner High School here, Meadowbrook Park over here, and the Bethel and Clifford Glen subdivisions and Harper's Landing. So this is right in the middle of all of those. And there is the data in your staff report regarding the property. And should you be so inclined, we do have an ordinance for you prepared tonight. Should you decide to approve by adopting ordinance 2025-5350. And again, Mr. Frederick is here and the client if you have any questions for them.
Okay. Thank you for the information there. Again, something, this is a case that council has seen a number of times, planning commission has seen. It's coming back now for the final step in the process, you might say the actual annexation. And you've made your the applicant, do they wish to make any comments? None there. Let's recognize council members who might wish to ask questions. Let's start with Mr. Matthews. Any questions related to
No questions.
Mr. Singleton?
No, sir.
Ms. Behringer? Mr. Dellinger?
No questions, but I have comments. We can vote and skip the debate on that. I'm going to vote against annexation, which I rarely do. One, this is an example of the dreaded R8 zoning that allows super close setbacks and is supposed to be designed for transition into commercial or be proximate to commercial or hopefully include commercial, which was what I argued for during the rezoning. That did not occur. As we're talking now about activating Meadowbrook Park, we're talking about bringing in tournaments and doing these types of things. You can't have economic activity benefit your town if you don't have businesses that are there to capture that revenue. This is a prime location for carving out some commercial parcels, some small neighborhood resident commercial, similar to a neighborhood mixed use, commercial mixed use. It's just a tremendous missed revenue opportunity and amenity opportunity for everybody who lives around South Garner High School. It reduces traffic when you have commercial opportunities in the neighborhood. You're decreasing some of the stress on 50 and White Oak. Also going to oppose it in that there was no efforts whatsoever to accommodate any form of affordable housing, no units, no offering. And I think we have come far beyond that point at this point. And so I don't see that the annexation at this time is beneficial to the town as it could be. Thank you.
Mr. Vance, comments, questions?
No comments, no questions.
I'll ask our town attorney, do we have any individuals signed up to speak?
Mr. Frederick signed up on behalf of the applicant.
Okay.
If you wish to speak.
Okay. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing and I'll ask for a motion in a second, then we can have some more discussion if we like. Is there a motion to adopt and approve ordinance 2025-5350?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Vance, second by Mr. Matthews. And let's have a roll call vote on this one as well. Mr. Vance, you made the motion. If you want to see this ordinance adopted, please signify by saying aye, or if not, by nay.
Aye.
Mr. Dellinger?
No.
Ms. Behringer?
Aye.
Mr. Singleton?
Aye.
Mr. Matthews?
Aye.
Thank you. 4-1, the motion passes, and that's the end of that item there. Thank you very much for your attention. Thanks for the property owners who came, property owners and neighbors. Thank you for your attendance here tonight. And we'll move right along to, I believe the next item is K, committee reports. So let's start with the council members. We heard from HR committee. Any other committee reports, Mr. Vance?
No others.
Mr. Dellinger?
No, sir.
Ms. Behringer, committee reports? Mr. Singleton, committee reports?
No, sir.
Matthews, committee reports?
None.
Well, that's unusual. Well, we'll jump right over to manager reports, and I'm sure we have something coming from Ms. Miller.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Just a few reminders of some events we have coming up. First, just want to remind you and our community that our civic engagement survey is available for residents to complete. The deadline for completing that is August 12th. We're really looking to get feedback on how we can better engage and inform our community, specifically looking at two projects, bringing back our Civic Academy for the community, and also doing a redesign of our website to make sure that is effective and efficient in providing information. So those that are interested in giving us their feedback, it's very easy, short survey. It's available on our website until August 12th. Also want to remind the council members that the VIP tour and ribbon cutting for the VA outpatient clinic is scheduled for Wednesday, August 20th. We'll start at 9:30 with the tour and then 10:30 with the actual ceremony. This Friday, we have a feature, our Friday Family Flicks, that is being sponsored by the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Department. It'll be an outdoor screening of Minecraft, and it'll be on the front lawn of the Garner Rec Center. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that the weather holds out for that fun event. And then also want to remind council, we have our next concert in our Grooving in Garner concert series scheduled for Friday, August 15th. Band of Oz will be performing in front of downtown that evening, and the show will start at 6:30. Want to remind everyone that this is in our downtown social district, and there are opportunities to purchase beverages should you choose to do so. So we're very excited to bring our second concert downtown on the 15th. So those are my brief updates and reminders for council this evening. Happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Any questions for our town manager?
Questions?
Okay, thank you very much for the report. And almost certainly we have some report from our attorney tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last week I attended the 2025 North Carolina Association of Municipal Attorneys Summer Conference in Asheville. Learned a great deal about a number of topics that'll be useful to the town. And I'm proud to report that I was elected second vice president of that association. And looking forward to serve and honored to be selected by my peers in that. On a sadder note, I have to announce that this is our summer legal intern, Nevaeh Haddock's last meeting with us. She's been a tremendous asset to the legal department and assisted the town throughout the summer. And we will be sad to see her go, but very encouraging that she have a great third year in law school, and that she will join the ranks of municipal lawyers one day.
Absolutely. She's done a great job, not to mention the fabulous souvenirs she left us all right here. It says, "Thank you, summer 25, and it makes a little bitty noise every time you tap it down."
It's also got some of the neatest handwriting I've ever seen.
Well, I didn't get that far. I was still looking at the little hammer. That's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I'll make a comment. I had a chance to chat with him. Thank you for the hammer, but she was a very unique person. We've had them through the years, and she got set up here. She said she learned a lot from me. I don't know what that means, but I told her when she graduated, she fit right in with us. And by that time, at the rate we're growing, we might need a third lawyer. So
Yeah, be sure you get her number, will you?
yeah, keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
So I think she would fit in quite well. But congratulations and good luck.
Thank you. Any other observations?
No, thank you. I told her she got one more year, and then she said this time next year she'll be preparing to take the bar, so that's great.
Fantastic. Other comments, Ms. Behringer?
I'm just, you've learned from the best.
Yes.
This is true.
Yes, yeah, and that's high praise coming from this guy. Because he knows the book too. Mr. Vance?
Wish you the best in the future.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Well, I wish you had some good news for us. We're losing a great team member, but she'll be back. Good news, another step for her. Anything else you want to report?
No, I would say she is working on our legislative update that we'll be giving on the work session coming up. Unfortunately, her course schedule will not allow her to come back and present, but I will again at the work session give her all the credit for all the hard work she's done to keep track of the session laws that have been adopted this year and how they're going to impact the town.
Excellent. Outstanding intern. I think everyone should pick up a little hammer now and do a little applause thing over there. Thank you. That's great. Okay, and that brings us to council reports. Let's start with Mr. Vance. Any other report from council members?
I just want to say congratulations to the staff, and particularly also Ms. Rebecca Murray for the boards and commission orientation last week. It was very well done and very well organized, and to all the speakers, everyone from the staff as well. We have some quite capable volunteers and eager volunteers to be on the various boards and commissions, and that is good to see. It really was. So thank you all for your hard work. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Dellinger.
I'll echo all of that and say thank you to Stella and Rebecca for all their work all year round and organizing all of that and coordinating all of those meetings and interviews. Like we get to pick from a good pool of folks in the town. We pick the best of the best, but there are still some great people out there who we don't even get to appoint. But thank you all for your hard work getting that together every year.
Thank you. Ms. Behringer, any other reports?
I would echo Mr. Vance and Mr. Dellinger's remarks. It was good to see a room full of volunteers. Good to see the interest. There have been times when we felt like we didn't have much, and it looks to be growing, and that is encouraging. And I have a question, not sure who it's for, maybe the manager. I saw the information sent out about Duke Energy working on getting those poles, the broken power poles on Garner Road, or gave an timeline about when they can be removed. And I understand that the next utility company has 90 days to, from the time of the last report, to get their wires moved so that the poles can be taken down. But there's one pole that's at the corner of Penny Street and Garner Road that's not attached to anything. It's just, whenever the new pole was put up, it was just left. So can we get that?
We will follow up directly on that. We'll take a picture and send it to him as well. So I appreciate you letting us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Singleton.
Yes, I wanted to follow up to a conversation we had last week. The presentation for what I'll call phase one. We call it interviews. I think it's phase one of White Deer Park. We're not going to put that much money in it. It'll not be a phase. It's nice to see we have some different uses out there with the disc golf, with the bike trails and the hiking trails. But I want to emphasize, because I think all of us up here agree, as I mentioned, to add on the walking trails, because they'll be used more than all the other uses combined. And we have to remember that. Just go to White Deer or Lake Benson, just drive up and down the roads with sidewalks. People are walking. So with all the residents, this subdivision tonight included, that are going to be out there, we need to make sure that walking trails are a priority, whether they're paved or not. Hopefully they'll be paved in that park, because they're not going to be playing disc golf all day, but somebody might be walking over there, walking or jogging or pushing a stroller a lot longer. The use will dwarf the other uses there. They're special uses with a very narrow demographic, but we'll have an opportunity to have a lot of people that come to our town because of that. But most people that will use that park will go over there to sit on the ground, to be quiet, or to walk. I was at Lake Benson Sunday evening. It was amazing the people just sitting out there in the meadow, just sitting there, which is nice. That's what it's there for. So we have to remember that this is going to be a similar use when there's not some of these, when you got 1,000 bikers over there, whatever they talked about happening, that the walking trail, I think, over there is going to be so important, because that's going to be used, that's going to be the heaviest use over there by far. So we just need to remember that in this phase one of what we're going to do there at Meadowbrook. Just want to follow up, so we don't lose sight. We're excited to have new uses come here, new activities, but we got to remember that the core of that will be the people who walk over there to just go out there and enjoy the nature.
Absolutely. And like you say, what we've seen at White Deer Park and Lake Benson Park, since the weather cooled off, it's like a freeway at rush hour. People really love it.
And one more. I noticed in the last few weeks that the state redid the crosswalks along Timber Drive and all the intersections, which is nice because they were needed. I just wanted to ask if the town is considering the ones, and these are town ones at Buffalo and Avisboro, those crosswalks, and maybe also the one that crosses from White Deer to Lake Benson Park. While they've updated those, I didn't know if we wanted to look. They're somewhat faded. They're not as bad a shape as some of those were. The one at Timber and coming out of Timber and Thompson was really worn out. I'm just asking, it may not be in our plan, but I just wanted to put that out there when we might update those crosswalks, because the ones on Buffalo and the one that crosses when Buffalo and Neighbors first split going toward Lake Vincent Park gets used a lot. So just want to make sure they're nice and noticeable by people.
We will take a look at those.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews.
Yes, I would like to echo on Mr. Singleton's comments on the trails, because you can go up there at sun up, before the gates are open, people are out there walking. You've got to be careful, especially in the early morning hours and all day long and in the evening and the weekends. You can't even keep account on, because that is a very big use and a great amenity we have. Secondly, I don't know that we can do anything about this one, but I had a constituent this week said, you know, the state auditor is really going after DMV about trying to straighten up an issue up there of people getting licensed and what have you. And we've got them lined up in our Garner driver's license. And he said, is there any way that the town could consider or think about drafting a letter and send it to the proper people, saying our concerns about how bad it is in Garner, like a lot of other towns, just to add a little more fuel on the fire, so to speak, under the auditors trying to get it done. And because it's so sad that you got to get on an 8-month waiting list to get your driver's license if you can. And then the federal authorities, the airport, they put constraints on your license tag. It's not your license, if it's not the right one, you got problems boarding a plane unless you got a lot of more paperwork. But if it's a possibility we could draft something up, I don't know how to go about all that, but just plant the seed that we could send to whomever to share our concerns about what's going on, especially for the Garner area. And that's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
We can certainly look into that, Mr. Matthews, and come up with the best suggestion for some way to make sure that the DMV understands and the state understands the importance of trying to address that issue immediately.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. That's all.
Thank you. And that's about all of the items that are on the agenda this evening, unless there's some other last minute business or announcement we need to make. Hearing none, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second. Moved by Ms. Behringer and second by Mr. Vance. All in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. And we adjourn with this little hammer right here. Thank you for coming.